Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is kenziedegall. I am a fantasy writer pursuing traditional publishing, and today I am here to talk to you about something really exciting because I have written every day for 100 days. So I set myself a challenge to start writing every day at some point in January, and since then I have written every single day. I've stuck to it and actually sat down at my computer and made a serious effort to write every single day. I'm still participating in this little challenge, so as of recording this, I am 115 days in, I think. But today I just want to talk to you about how I did it, the things that I've learned, some tips if you want to do it too, because this has been such a fulfilling challenge and I just am really excited about it. So a couple things to note while we talk about this. One, I am not a published author, so I write entirely for fun right now, or with the aim of being published, but it has yet to pay off, so I'm not writing for monetary reasons. Setting myself the goal to write every day was just a fun thing for me and something that I didn't really need to do, I just wanted to do. Two is that this is absolutely not for everyone. Don't take this video as like a prescriptivist thing, like if you don't write every single day, you're not a real writer, because that's just not true. You don't have to do your thing every single day to still be able to call yourself a participant of that thing, if that makes sense. Like a librarian. A librarian doesn't go to work every single day, but they're still a librarian. Or an athlete. An athlete probably doesn't do that sport every single day, but they're still an athlete. Just because you don't write every day does not make you any less of a writer, and I'm absolutely not saying that by making this video. This is purely just a fun challenge that I set for myself, and I want to talk about it. So if you don't write every day, or if you don't want to write every day, do not think that you have to, because you absolutely don't. It is not necessary to be a successful writer. And honestly, I probably won't write every day forever. I think I will continue this challenge for a little bit longer, but the second I'm not feeling it anymore, I don't need to do it anymore, because it is only worth it to me while it's fulfilling. As soon as it just becomes something that I don't enjoy doing, I'm not going to do it anymore. So with those little notes out of the way, first let's get into what exactly I was working on. In my first 100 days of writing every single day, I wrote so much. I got a total of 83,923 words. There's lots of projects that I was working on during that. We will get into that later. 6 projects that made up those 83,000 words. The first thing that I was working on was the tail end of Project Calliope Draft 1, which I finished up in January. I only had a little bit of that draft left to work on, and I finished that up mid-January, and that was a drafting project. Then I worked on Project Mutiny Draft 2, which I also just had a little bit to finish up with, and I finished that at the end of January. That was another drafting project. The next thing that I worked on was Project Smoke, and this was a brainstorming project. This is a project that I really want to work on, but I am not quite ready to be drafting that, so I've just been letting myself brainstorm it, percolating some ideas for it, and kind of building out the world and the characters and the plot so that when I am ready to write that, I am fully prepared. I also worked on Project Calliope Draft 2, which was both a brainstorming project and a drafting project. For the first couple days or weeks maybe of working on that, it was brainstorming, kind of just writing out the things that I wanted to change, outlining again, re-outlining the entire novel, because I did have a lot plot-wise to change with that. After I was done with outlining and brainstorming, I moved on to actually drafting it, and that made up the bulk of the word counts for Project Calliope Draft 2. I also worked on my project, which is reluctantly project titled 1917. I don't know why that's the title for it, because that doesn't really apply anymore. I need to find a better working title for that, but for now, I just call it 1917, and I was working on brainstorming that. I plan on outlining that project soon, but for now, I'm just working on fleshing out the world, doing some research, because that is a very research-intensive book, just planning out what I want to do with this book. All of the progress that I made with that was brainstorming. And then the final project that I worked on in this time frame was Project Calliope Book 2, because I am hoping for this to be a duology, and I am currently in the process of getting ready to outline the book, because I want to be able to foreshadow things in book 1 that happen in book 2. Set up some plot points and make a very nice cohesive storyline. This is the first sequel that I've ever worked on, so it's really exciting. I will have a video talking all about that soon, but for now I'm working on it and it's really enjoyable. And those are all of the projects that made up this 83,000 words. The 83,000 wasn't just one project, and the 100 days weren't just spent on one project. They were divided up between these 6 projects. Let's just get right into how I managed to do this. The first thing that I did to make this challenge work is that I counted even just one word as writing, because it is. You don't have to sit down and write 1,000 words or 2,000 words or more. You don't even have to write 100 words in a day. One word is more than you had before, and so you wrote. It counts, at least in my mind. I don't think that there were any days when I just got one word, but if there were, I would have counted it. I also let myself switch between projects. I counted everything that I worked on. I have my main work in progress, Project Calliope, but I'm not always working on Project Calliope. I have lots and lots of projects and stories that I am developing and brainstorming and working on, and sometimes a project that I'm not even really consistently working on, I will come up with a new scene for it or a new little world building detail and I want to write it down, and so I count all of that. Every single bit of writing, even if it's not on my main work in progress, that counts. And also, I didn't always have the ability to work on my main work in progress, so I still wanted to be writing every day on those times when I was taking a break from my main whip, and so I needed to count other projects. And the last thing that I did to make this challenge really work for me was that I tracked my word counts and my writing time. I just did this in Google Sheets. I downloaded a template for word and time tracking. You absolutely don't have to do this. I just enjoy tracking things. You could also track your word count in something like TrackBear or a similar software. I use TrackBear also because, again, I like to track things, but I tracked all of my word counts and all of my writing time so that I knew kind of statistics about what I was working on, when I was writing, how much I was getting per day, and so I could make sure I had written that day. Because like I said, I was jumping around with so many projects, I needed a way to make sure that I had written something that day. So it really helped to just see it in a comprehensive list with the day and the time that I wrote, so I could just check and be like, oh yeah, I did write today. Okay, I'm done. Or like, oh, I haven't written today. I got to do that real fast. Things like that really helped to keep me accountable with this challenge. So then, things that I learned with this challenge. There's a couple of things. The first was that this was so good for building consistency. I have really struggled with being consistent with my writing, so that was part of the reason why I started this challenge to begin with, because I wanted to finally start being more consistent with my writing. And like I said before, I don't know how long I will continue doing this challenge, but I think that if or when I do quit doing this challenge, I will have built up a habit and I will be much more equipped to sit down every day or almost every day and actually make progress with writing. That is something that has been so beneficial to me. I really love that writing has become an embedded part of my day and something that I make sure to do all the time so that I'm making really good, consistent progress on writing. Another thing I learned was that this challenge made me so much more in tune with how writing was going. By writing every single day and not having a break between sessions, I was very aware of when I was struggling, when I maybe needed to take a little step back from a project and work for a couple days on another project, when things were going really great and I was having a lot of success with writing. Things like that, I just became a lot more aware of it through writing every single day, and probably also from tracking it, because I do have a little notes section on the spreadsheet where I can just input a little line or two about how writing went that day, what's going on that maybe made the writing less, maybe made it more. Also because, again, I love tracking things. It was really motivating to see like the different charts change as I wrote more or less, and it kind of kept me on track. Like, oh, I'm kind of getting a dip on my word count per day. Maybe I should put in a little more effort and get that going up again. And so I've really liked that aspect of this. And then another thing I learned, which kind of has more to do with tracking everything than it does with the actual challenge itself, is that I could easily make sure that I was consistently working on my main work in progress. Because I was jumping around and working on a couple different things, it would have been easy to work on the things that were fun to me at the time and kind of abandon my main work in progress, which isn't always fun to work on. Writing is a very difficult process, and sometimes you just don't want to do it. So doing this challenge and being able to see what I was working on every day made it really easy to make sure that I was working on my main work in progress. If I noticed that it had been a few days since I worked on Project Calliope, then I could see that in the chart, and I knew that it was time to jump back in to make sure that I was still heading towards the goals that I wanted to accomplish. And I really enjoyed that. It made it so much easier to make consistent progress and to meet the deadlines that I set for myself. 10 out of 10, really enjoyed that. So let's go ahead and get into some of the tips that I have if you want to do this challenge for yourself. The first tip is that this is not for everyone, not something that everyone needs to do. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, you are not any less of a writer if you don't participate in a challenge like this, or if you don't write every day, or even if you don't write every week or every month. You are still a writer, so don't feel like you have to do this. Also, just in general, I don't think that this challenge is for everyone. I think a lot of people really benefit from having breaks from writing, and also a lot of people just have more pressing schedules where it is really difficult to fit writing into that schedule. I absolutely don't think this is something that everyone needs to do, or even that everyone should do. Figure out what works for you. If you feel like this wouldn't work for you, that's totally okay. The second tip that I have is that this is not all or nothing. If you miss a day, that doesn't mean that you failed. If you miss a couple of days, that doesn't mean that you failed. If you take a whole month off and then decide to start again later, that still doesn't mean that you failed. You can always start again. You can always adjust things, make things work better for you, and try again another time. Not writing every single day does not mean that you're a failure. So if you miss a day, a couple of days, a long stretch of time in doing this challenge, that's okay, because this is not all or nothing, and you can always pick it up again and continue later. And my third tip is to count everything. Every single word that you get. Like I was saying, even just one word, even if it's not your main project, even if it's just brainstorming or a little scene that you came up with or a new idea that you want to jot down, everything. Count everything, because it is all writing. Also count every kind of writing, because not all writing is drafting. Things like brainstorming, outlining, editing, even like reading through your draft, those are all writing. You can count all of that. Even if you just count the time aspect of it, I think that's absolutely valid. Allow yourself to work on whatever you want to work on, and that all counts as writing every day. And my last tip, this is gonna sound incredibly cheesy, but have fun with it. Feel free to quit at any point if it's no longer fun for you, if it's not fulfilling, if you're not getting the same joy out of it as you used to when you started. If you start, just don't force yourself to do this. It should be an enjoyable thing. If it's not fun, then you don't have to do it. Just prioritize yourself and your well-being and your enjoyment of things over the writing every single day or the progress that you make. That is, I think, the most important thing. So a little bit shorter of a video today, but I hope that you enjoyed hearing a little bit about how I did this challenge, the things that I worked on, and the hopefully helpful tips that I gave if you want to do this too. If you do it, let me know how it goes in any of my videos comments. Tell me about it if you'd like to. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you so much. Go ahead and leave a bee emoji in the comments, because I have this crochet bee. So leave a little bee emoji in the comments if you made it to the end of this video. I appreciate you so much for being here. Feel free to check out any of my other videos. I make lots of writing vlogs, other sit-down discussions like this video. Next week I have a vlog with some exciting progress that I made. So if you're at all interested, I would love if you checked my videos out. If not, I still appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.